Hi again, everyone. I hope you're all doing really well. I know it has been a little while since I had a look at the Workhorse Group stock, ticker symbol WKHS, but there was a significant news for the stock in terms of their legal challenge against the US Postal Service just recently. That being that they have officially dropped their legal complaint/challenge regarding the awarding of the contract to Oshkosh. So in this script, I want to have just a brief look at this development and give some thoughts on the matter and what it may mean for Workhorse Group, as well as having a little bit of a look at how their stock has been performing lately. So let's get straight into it. So to start with, here is the announcement from Workhorse Group. I will link it in the video description, but the key points are they are withdrawing their legal complaint or challenge against the US Postal Service. The statement perhaps indicates that they are planning to be more cooperative rather than adversarial towards the government in the hope of perhaps being able to work with them in some capacity in the future. So to me, the act of withdrawing is perhaps a sign of Workhorse trying to save some face, as it was perhaps advised that their legal challenge was going to be thrown out for not following proper procedures and complaining first directly through the US Postal Service regarding the contract. Even though the nature of Workhorse's complaint had some significant substance to it, with a particularly strong weighting to the fact that Oshkosh had not even created a working prototype in their bid, I think it could have been quite an embarrassing scene for Workhorse to have the matter dismissed on what appears to be such a straightforward technicality. There is a note of optimism to the press release from Workhorse Group in the second and third paragraphs. While I'm not reading into this too much, it does seem to open the possibility that perhaps there may be some behind the scenes discussion taking place which may have Workhorse involved with either the US Postal Service or another government contract in some capacity in the near future. The Biden administration wants to go electric, and Workhorse has the potential to be picking up contracts in a range of other spaces given their expertise. Also, it is worth remembering that when Oshkosh was awarded the US Postal Service contract earlier this year, it was not a definitive contract to develop the entire fleet. So there is always the possibility of other vendors being recruited to and used to help fill the void where the US Postal Service sees fit in the future, and perhaps that may mean Workhorse may still have some role to play. In terms of what role Workhorse could have, I'm about to get a bit crazy and let my mind wander a little here. But Workhorse may license their expertise or indeed cooperate with Oshkosh on the final design for the fleet, especially now that there is a greater possibility of the fleet becoming all electric, and it seems to be something that is, at this stage at least, outside of Oshkosh's expertise. I also had this wild idea that perhaps Oshkosh was looking to even merge or take over Workhorse. It is a wild idea, but Workhorse as a company is beaten down at the moment, and they do possess some important and valuable assets that would be beneficial for Oshkosh, particularly in terms of their IP. By removing legal challenges, these windows are all opened up now. Of course, this is just me running wild with my imagination. The more realistic likelihood is that this is the end of the road for the US Postal Service contract with Workhorse, and by withdrawing their legal complaint, it is merely a way of preserving their credibility for future contracts. What those contracts are, only time will tell. Also, it does allow them to focus on improving some of the problems they have been experiencing with their current production. Anyway, it will be interesting to see what transpires in the weeks and months ahead for Workhorse Group. So having a look at the recent stock price action, we can see that there has been a steady road of decline over the last month and a half, basically since the most recent Workhorse Group results came out. Just to understand what I have on the chart, we have a $12.50 price target that was set by an analyst before the June quarter results were released. I'm waiting to see a revision of this, however, as I don't think these results would make this a realistic target. The red line marks the low point the stock hit following its massive decline on the news of losing the contract to Oshkosh. And the yellow line caught a key trading point, which I thought was previously emerging as a point of lower support, which is now sort of invalidated. What we have been seeing, however, is a consistent trend of lower lows being achieved by the stock, and this actually creates quite a smooth trend. The stock has clearly had low enthusiasm lately, as seen by the low scores on the RSI for most of September, with it generally failing to move above the 50-point mark. A bearish sign if I ever saw one for this stock. Pleasingly, however, yesterday the stock did hold up in the face of this news of the withdrawal of their contract. So perhaps the market is reacting somewhat neutrally to this withdrawal of the complaint by Workhorse. Now, just comparing the stock value of Workhorse Group to some of their peers, I've tried to compare what I think is a pretty important fundamental figure for any stock that I like to invest in, being the tangible book value or the equity value of the stock before pricing in forward earnings expectations. I think it's a nice way to get a gauge for the level of assets you are purchasing when you buy stock. Now, the other companies I have selected here are fairly similar, but at different stages of their development. Lordstown Motors is about to start producing their prototype. XL Fleet, while not quite the same as Workhorse Group in terms of their operations, is arguably at a similar stage in their business development. However, XL Fleet is a small company in terms of market capitalization. And then there is, of course, Oshkosh, which is a mature vehicle producer, although they do not quite have the same green or EV credentials as the others on this list, but are currently a profitable and mature business. While Workhorse may seem like it's overvalued compared to its peers given its business stage, it is worth noting that they have a significant number of sales booked in their pipeline, which they are only fulfilling very slowly at the moment, as they have had to do some tweaking to their designs of their vehicles to meet the needs of their customers. The one strength I think Workhorse does have, however, is that they have quite a healthy balance sheet. They are flush with cash and still hold an approximately 5% stake in Lordstown Motors, having sold off 5% in the past quarter. So while it has not been great news for the company lately, it is not the end of the world. I still hold my position in the company that I started accruing over a year ago now, so I'm not too worried about where the stock goes at this stage, as it was a position that I have just accrued through trading and not invested a lump of money in. I'm happy to sit on and see if some of the promise that the company has shown in the past can be realised in the near future. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the stock? Are you holding it or have you given up on the company? What do you think about my crazy thought of potential collaboration on the USPS contract? Or do you know anything about any future contracts that Workhorse might be working on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, everyone, may the markets trade in your favour. Cheers.